DrupalCon Portland 2024. Are you as excited as I am?
It is our honor to welcome you to DrupalCon Portland. If you have traveled thousands of miles or just up the street, you belong here. This is our chance, yes, to connect and grow. We are makers, vendors, longtime contributors, and new to Drupal. So everyone from contributors for a long time and new users and in between, we welcome each and every one of you. And Faye, I would like to introduce my colleague on the stage. Faye is a digital nomad from British Columbia. She's currently the lead of the Drupal Diversity and Inclusion Initiative and the chair of the Future of DrupalCon Working Group. So she's a relentlessly enthusiastic coordinator of trivia for DrupalCon North America.
And the lovely Nikki has certifications in both accessibility and Scrum. She's a technical project manager over at Lullabot, who likes hearing your sci-fi reading recommendations, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. She also likes playing piano and, most importantly, drinking coffee.
Yes, Portlandia. So this week would not be possible without our amazing staff and hundreds of volunteers who helped make the idea a reality. So please stand up, or if you're seated, raise your hand if you worked on DrupalCon, and let's give everybody a round of applause. Woo!
And of course, thank you to all the beautiful creatives out there who submitted to this year's t-shirt contest. So there was a pool of submissions, 4 of which were selected for the finals. And then there was a vote, and the winner is, dun 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 dun.
I'm so glad and grateful, yes. For my colleague, Alicia Jones, Senior UI Designer at Lullabot. She contributed this incredible t-shirt design. She has a background in visual design and creative arts and graduated from CSU Chico in 2016, awarded the title of Most Outstanding Graphic Design Student and works in UI design. Come on over to the Drupal Association booth and pick up your t-shirt. We also want to thank all of the sponsors. So take a picture of yourself if you're up there. A round of applause.
And thank you to the ever-growing list of Drupal certified partners who have made a deep commitment to advancing Drupal and supporting the community. So a big round of applause. Thank you so much. And thank you to the organizational members who are here helping us climb the mountain. Another round of applause. Huge thank you. So much gratitude. And of course, thank you to each and every one of you for being the vibrant and beautiful community that makes us what we are and makes all of this possible. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so we have a few housekeeping slides. Now, you will notice there are a number of QR codes. We're gonna go through them quickly. So if you have a QR code reader on your phone, you're gonna wanna get it out and be ready. Number 1, this is the DrupalCon Code of Conduct. It is important. We require all members and attendees who participate to abide by these rules. And the next one up is our photo policy slide. This QR code goes to the Flickr page. So please take lots and lots of great photos, upload them, share them, hashtag DrupalCon 2024. But please do not take photos of folks who have the orange lanyard. Now, many of you may have noticed there is a 3rd lanyard this year. So this one's very special to me because it represents folks who have hidden disabilities. Now, so folks this week who have hidden disabilities may want to wear their green lanyards, and all this means is that we might need just one little extra moment of compassion. I know this community is already so amazingly compassionate already, but this week can be a lot. So, and if you have a green lanyard, come say hi to me. And group photo, another really important one. So of course, I invite all of you who would like to participate in the group photo. It's gonna be downstairs in the lobby. So go right out the door, down the stairs, and look for the giant drop and also the giant group of people there to get their photos.
We also want to invite you to the welcome reception. It's an extended celebration this year from 5 to 7 in the expo hall. I hear there's going to be a robot DJ and a light bright, a giant light bright, but more importantly, a chance to celebrate and connect with friends and collaborators in the community.
Oh.
So we have a public Drupal Association board meeting. The DA is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to accelerating Drupal, fostering community, and accelerating the growth of Drupal. But hold on, what is the board all about? And why should you care? So Faye and I are both on the board and represent the community. And if you are in this room or listening online, you too qualify for this role. An election is coming up. And Faye, since you are most recent board member community elected, could you tell us about the process?
I would love to, Nikki. Thank you. So it's actually surprisingly straightforward. So there's a window of time before elections open where folks like yourselves, if you're in this room, you qualify. Folks like yourselves or like Nikki or me can go in and self-nominate. And if I recall, I think there were like 3 questions just to ask you what you're about, what you do in the community, what you'd like to bring to the table. And from there, there's an open Q&A where community members can get to meet the candidates, and then there's a vote. Now, you need to be a Drupal Association member to vote, but it's very, very easy to sign up. So I encourage you to self-nominate. I encourage you to participate in the election, learn more about this process. Go to drupal.org/association for all of the information, or come ask us, because we would love to talk to you about it.
Birds of a Feather are informal gatherings all day. This is the QR code. Rooms and boards are in the G hallway. The digital copy of the boss schedule is updated. And contribution. So contribution is one of the most important parts of DrupalCon. There are contribution opportunities every day, but Wednesday especially is the main contribution day for the event. So please come on down to the Wednesday initiative keynote to learn more about how to contribute and the results of Pittsburgh.
And tag your contribution issues with Portland 2024.
All right, so where's DrupalCon
going next? Any votes or any, suggestion? Oh, Nikki, help me out. I need English words. Yeah, it might be Reykjavik. Yeah, that's a really great guess. Let's watch a short video and find out. It's not Reykjavik.
I'm Nicolas Loy from France.
I'm Butby and I'm from Iceland.
My name is Asta and I'm from India.
Stina Lockhart from Columbus, Ohio.
I'm Dan. I'm originally from London, England.
My name is Esmeralda Tayov. I'm from the Netherlands.
Gabor Hoici from Hungary.
My name is Silvi and I'm from India.
I am Hilmar. I'm from Iceland.
Imre, the Netherlands.
I'm Tony and I'm from the United Kingdom.
Chinquist, Austria.
I'm Lenny and I'm from Ukraine.
My name is Marine. I am from France.
Me, Salman, recording this from Dubai, UAE.
This is Montaña Franco from Spain.
Barcelona. I am so excited.
DrupalCon Barcelona is coming in 2024. September 27th to 24th, 24th through 27th, please book your Highland Hotel and La Veo in Barcelona.
Okay, so the word I was actually looking for before is guesses. Are there any guesses about the location of the DrupalCon that comes after Barcelona?
East Coast.
Oh, it could be Minneapolis. Is it on the East Coast? It might be in the East Coast of North America, or perhaps it's not. Let's watch another video to find out. Oh. Woo!
So Singapore, oh, pardon. Oh. Okay.
Did we do it? Did we get the technology?
Back. We got it.
Singapore, woo!
DrupalCon Asia is back as part of the Drupal Association's commitment to expanding the global reach of Drupal. Mike and Sarabi.
Mike and Sarabi, where are you?
Stand up.
Oh,
yes.
There they are. Mike and Sarabi, thank you so much. Round of applause for these folks.
Thank you for all of your work bringing DrupalCon to Asia. You can find Mike and Sarabi next to the association booth. Look for the Merlion.
If you don't know what a Merlion is, they can let you know at the booth. Okay. So, guesses. And this is the third one, last one I promise. Where is the next North American conference? Now, nobody in this room knows. This hasn't been on social media. So this is legit. Where is the next North American conference? What do we think? Portland. It's not Portland. It's not Reykjavik. It could be Boston. Any other guesses? Miami? Pittsburgh? Chicago? These are all great guesses. Let's find out in the final video. Oh, God.
Oh my. All right, DrupalCon Atlanta is coming up in 2025.
We are so excited to be headed back to the southeast of the United States. Atlanta is a beautiful city, and I'm particularly excited about this one. It's a major international flight hub, so it's gonna be easier for those of us to reach who are coming from long distances. So how many people do we have from Atlanta here, or like close to Atlanta? Can I see a show of hands? So I'm really looking forwad to seeing you, and who else? You? You're all gonna be there. Those of you who are from Atlanta, you're gonna be there, right? Yeah, okay, perfect.
Now for one of the most special parts of every DrupalCon North America, the Aaron Winborn Award. And I'd like to introduce Mark Casillas and J.D. Flynn to explain the Aaron Winborn Award and announce this year's winner.
Hi, everybody. Hello. So I'm Mark Casillas. We're with the Community Working Group. The Community Working Group's mission is to foster a friendly and welcoming community for y'all, the Drupal community, and uphold the Drupal Code of Conduct. Oh, yeah, I guess that's... we have a couple of things going on. We have a Community Working Group roundtable. Matt, Tiff, and April Sides and I will be doing an actual session. And then we have the Community Working Group office hours, which is just if you have any questions for us, that's going to be a BOF. So check the BOF schedule for that.
So on to the award. Each year, the Drupal Community Working Group is honored to facilitate and award the selection of the Aaron Winborn Award. The Aaron Winborn Award is named in honor of longtime Drupal contributor Aaron Winborn, who lost his battle with ALS in early 2015. The community working group, with the support of the Drupal Association, has established the Aaron Winborn Award. The award includes a scholarship and stipend to attend DrupalCon with recognition during a plenary session at the event.
Is it my turn?
It's your turn.
Sorry, I was dealing with stuff. Sorry. So the nominations for the award are submitted by the community members, then the members of the CWG, the community health team, and then former winners of the Aaron Winborn Award combine their votes and pick a certain person. So be sure to follow the community working group on the socials to find out when next year's nominations are taking place, and then you can vote, and then everybody can do that. The award itself is handcrafted by a member of the community or a member of the community. This year's award is brought to you by MediaCurrent. They actually took some time and 3D printed this nice award that I broke. But anyway, yeah, it's broke, sorry. So,
awards canceled.
Yeah. So when things are marked fragile in a box, pay attention to that, kids. So we've had an amazing array of winners and nominees in the past, and it is our honor to introduce this year's award winner.
But before we do that, I'd like to share a couple of the excerpts from the nominations for this year's winner. One person said, "This person is a model community member who has had an exponential impact on the success of our community. I can't think of anyone more deserving of this award." Another person said, "You damned well better know why this person deserves the award more than anyone else, seriously." And when I found out who the award winner was, the only thing I could think was, I'm pretty sure he still owes me $5. With that being said, we'd like to introduce to you the 2024 Aaron Winborn Award winner, Mike, I didn't say that and you can't prove it, Anello. Mike.
I'll talk to you. You heard about me.
Mike, would you like to say a few words?
Sure.
Keep it quick.
Yeah.
Nice of you guys to dress up for the occasion. Let's start there.
I wore
That's
pants,
nice.
leave me alone.
I know. Wow, so I have, what, 45 minutes here?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Okay. So thank you very much. I gave them a bunch of photos to choose from, so that's a fun one, I guess, right? So thanks to whoever nominated me. That's more than I could have expected. It's weird because, I helped these folks, organize this award for the past few years and be able to see all the great nominees and everything is really exciting. But it's also kind of weird because I don't always view what I contribute back as, doing it just because I'm contributing back. It's kind of for selfish reasons. Because I really like learning new things, and I know that when I learn new things, or the best way for me to learn new things is to talk to other people and tell them about it. And I often do those in the form of contribution, so it kind of works out that way. So it's just, I'm really honored by this. I wrote down a couple things. They gave me a couple weeks' notice here, so let me make sure.
Okay, but we want to hear Dries talk too.
Start the Oscars, play him off music.
No, my
anytime.
last thing is really thank you. Can I say thank you? Good golly. Thank you very much. It's really an honor, and I appreciate it, and I understand what it means, and yeah, so thank you.
And Mike, you also get a Random Addicts t-shirt with it.
Oh my gosh. I'm not sure which is better.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one's not broken anyway.
Where's the broke?
Hold it up so they can take a picture.
Oh my God.
All right,
Hold it
so,
up.
Do you have anything else to say?
no.
Okay, good.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Congratulations. And let's have one more round of applause.
Woo!
That's,
Come on,
I said
guys.
round. That's too much, okay? He's got a big enough head.
Now get off.
Okay, now go. But I do want to know more about that nomination process. I'm going to come find you.
Congratulations to Mike, and thank you so much for your contributions. And thanks to the Community Working Group for all you do.
All right. Now, on with the show. Nikki, what is next?
It's the moment you've all been waiting for. It is our distinct pleasure to welcome Drupal project founder Dries Buytaert to the stage for the Driesnote.
Good morning, everyone. It's been a while, huh? Yeah. I'm going to put this here. I was doing a little bit of calculations or counting before I came here, and this is I think it's my 39th DrupalCon in Driesnote. So feels special, almost 40. But I can tell you, every time I do these Driesnotes and every time I prepare slides, it actually never gets that easy, to be quite honest. And the other day I was trying to explain to some people, what is the Driesnote? Because it's kind of a weird thing. Like on the one hand, it's like a marketing presentation, right? Where I try to highlight all of the great things that are happening in the community. But at the same time, it's also kind of like this all-hands meeting in an organization, where very often you have to highlight some of the challenges that we have. And with the exception that this is all public instead of private. And because of that, it's a little bit challenging and have to find that right balance. Now, before I get into the meat of the presentation, I wanted to ask you a couple of things. And specifically, I would like to ask you to stand up for a second if you've been involved with Drupal for 1 year or more. So please take a moment to stand up. Yeah, wow, that's almost everyone. Very, very cool. I think it's pretty much everyone. And so now you can actually sit down if you've been involved with Drupal less than 3 years. So put differently, if you've been involved with Drupal for 3 years or more, please keep standing. Oh, wow. I don't know if you could tell, but almost nobody sat down. All right, how about 5 years? Stay standing if you've been involved for 5 years. Wow, that's incredible, actually. 10 years. All right, finally, some people are starting to sit down. But still, that's kind of wild. What about 20 years? Ooh. Yeah, still a few people. Yeah, wow. Yeah. That's amazing. I can't see you all, but yeah, wow. Thank you. Yeah, Gabor, like so many people. Yeah, Ali was there, yes. It's hard to see, but I think Jeremy, Marco, all of these people. So grateful for all of your contributions over all of the many years. And I wanted to do this little exercise, I guess, because I want you to all realize how much experience we have in this room, right? We literally have thousands of years of experience, which is kind of special. And I wanted to share that with you because I want you to let that sink in throughout this presentation, because together we can actually accomplish a lot. All right, so as you probably know, Drupal has been around for 23 years, and in web years, that's a very long time. If you don't know, Drupal actually predated Safari and Firefox and MySpace and WordPress and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, just to name a few. So Drupal is pretty old. And actually, when I started Drupal, just to put it in perspective, this was my cell phone. You see this? Like, the clips open. I had this antenna. And so there wasn't social media on this phone. There wasn't a browser on this phone. It did have an antenna, though. And if you wanted to talk to your friends, there was no messaging service. So you actually had to make a phone call and talk to your friends. The problem was most of my friends didn't have a cell phone yet. And so I just wanted to put that in perspective, because Drupal is as old as this phone, which is pretty special. And that is before the web was even on phones. I remember Google being a private technology company still, for example. So Drupal is old. It's been around for a while, but throughout all these years, these 23 years, we've done a lot of amazing innovation. Just recently, we were one of the first CMSs to support OpenAI. Within months of OpenAI being released, we had integrations. We made a firm commitment to accessibility, and today Drupal is one of the most accessible CMSs in the world. Yeah. Very special. We should be very proud of that. Drupal was born in Belgium. I don't know if you know, but in Belgium we have at least 2 official languages. So from day one, we've been pretty good at multilingual. And today, Drupal continues to shine as a multilingual CMS. The website of Europe, for example, runs on Drupal, the main website for Europe. And the content is translated in 25 languages or more. It's an incredible example of Drupal as a multilingual CMS. Headless. Drupal is doing headless for a long time. And actually in 2017, we started moving headless capabilities to Drupal core. And this was before headless was called headless. Like we called it web services and those kinds of things. And so we've been doing these things for a long time, and we're pretty good at it. Low code, no code. It's kind of a buzzword right now, but we've been doing this from the early days. You know, that's how Drupal was born, as a low code, no code CMS, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in this presentation. Integrations. We just crossed 50,000 contributed modules, many of which are integrations. So we have so many integrations, I don't think anyone has more integrations than Drupal. And because of that, not just the integrations and the modules, but also the architecture that we have and how we develop Drupal, we're one of the most composable CMSs in the world. And last but not least, I think our caching infrastructure is one of the best that exists out there. Like we have things like cache tags, which you may or may not know, but I can't think of another CMS that has the same kind of support for cache tags that we have. And let me explain to you why these features are important. And a good example of that is actually the Sydney Opera House. They are a true arts and culture organization and pioneers in those things. And I was lucky enough to meet with them just a few weeks ago. And they're basically using art technology to make arts and culture accessible to many more people. And that's their mission. Scalability and performance is very important to them, which is why they use cache tags, for example. They're very, very focused on accessibility of their website. So they love the fact that Drupal is so accessible. And of course, they use all kinds of integrations. They sell tickets, they have e-commerce integrations, and so that's also very important to them. But maybe most interestingly about my meeting was that they want to contribute back to the community as well. They're lucky in that they have at least 20 full-time engineers on staff, which is pretty rare for an arts and culture organization. And they actually want to share all of these innovations back with the community so that other arts and culture organizations can benefit from it. Because most of those organizations probably have no full-time Drupal developers on staff. And so it was a great meeting. I came back so excited from that meeting. Now, talking about large websites, 1 in 40 websites in the world run on Drupal. And if you look at the enterprise segment, it's like 1 in 8 websites, which is just an incredible number if you think about it, right? We have so many great end user stories that we could be telling. The Sydney Opera House just being one of them. And we have thousands of people contributing to Drupal every year. This is just a slide with the names of people that recently contributed to Drupal. So if you see your name on there, it might be a little hard, just raise your hand. If you've contributed to Drupal in the last couple of years, maybe raise your hand. Yeah. Thank you. The number of contributors and contributions are growing. This is a chart that we recently started to collect on Drupal.org, and you can see a dip around COVID, but other than that, things are going up and to the right. Drupal 11 is coming. We just released an alpha last week. We're on schedule to release Drupal 11 this year, and it might be here as soon as the end of July. Depends on how things are going. But it's coming this year. And maybe more importantly, innovation has really picked up speed. And just look at some of the features that will ship in Drupal 11. And there's many others actually as well. You'll be able to learn about some of these features here at DrupalCon. There's sessions about them. And then maybe one feature that I'm particularly excited about is the Access Policy API. I'm excited about it because it's a good idea, but also because it was born out of DrupalCon Pittsburgh, which we organized last year. And so basically, What that means is that somebody like you sitting in this audience basically came up with this idea, proposed it, we all voted on it, and in less than a year, we've made it a reality. And so, pretty excited about that it will ship with Drupal 11. And so with Drupal 11, we're actually continuing a long tradition of being the architects and being defenders of an open web. We've been doing that for 23 years. So let's take a moment to celebrate that, actually. Yeah. And I think we can all be proud of many of Drupal's technical achievements. But behind all of these achievements are people. It's the people in the community that are the heart and soul of Drupal. And let's take Esmeralda, for example, and just listen for a second what Drupal means for her.
I was a single mom on welfare with 2 kids, one with a disability, and I was like, I need to find a job. The city came to my house to talk about this because I was on welfare for quite a time. And she actually said like, no, you've got special needs kids, you need to be at home and just stay on welfare. And I was like, no, I need to give my kids a good financial upbringing, you know? And I was looking around, like, what kind of job would allow me to have flexible hours so I could take my kid to the hospital on a regular basis, take my kid to therapy on a regular basis, and it would have high earnings to allow me to actually be a provider for my family. The city at the time had a crash course in IT, and you would learn, in 4 months, you would learn how to build websites. I learned about Drupal, and I learned about open source communities. And open source communities are like a worldwide community where people put in their work voluntarily and they share code, and there's just a very warm place to be. I just gave a talk at DrupalCon about poverty because I studied history and I studied gender studies, and there are not a lot of jobs in this area. But it did give me an insight into diversity. And I noticed that this open source Drupal community is all about diversity, and not just as in getting women on board or getting people from a different color or different background, ethnicity on board. It's also about being there for each other and having a warm environment. I actually got a job. People allowed me, how do you call it? They took a chance. So I got on a government job with a group full of guys, and then me coming in. So it was quite a change on the work floor, a good change on the work floor. Drupal actually helped me to get a proper job, a proper earnings. And I think that this is something that open source should be. It should include anybody that wants to work with Drupal, even though you're not proficient in it. It doesn't really matter, everybody's allowed to enter. That's how I ended up getting a financially stable life using open source Drupal and providing for my 2 kids. So thank you for this opportunity. And I was even able to join the Dutch Drupal Association, and now I can actually put all my energy into supporting this community feeling.
Yeah. It's an incredible story, and stories like this, they fill me with so much pride, to be honest. And I think it showcases what we have built together and what we are building together. And the thing is, there's thousands of stories like Esmeralda's out there, you know, which is the very special thing. And in fact, I believe many people in this room probably have a remarkable Drupal story. And later I'll be talking a little bit about what we can do to help promote Drupal. But maybe adding your story to that mix is exactly what we need. So maybe think about that. So, as I mentioned, many things are going really great, right? We've maintained relevancy for 23 years. Think about my phone. We're recognized as leaders in web technology. We really are, powering 1 in 8 enterprise websites. We serve so many of these amazing large websites. And then we've been impacting the lives of thousands of people all around the world. And yet, as I said at the start of my presentation, sometimes making these presentations is hard. You know, it's my role as a project lead, not just to highlight the great things about Drupal, but also to lead and to help us fix the things that we need to do better. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that, because if we don't talk openly about some of the challenges, then we can't all go and fix them, right? And so some of you have been asking me, are we falling behind? You know, if you're running an agency, has it been more difficult to pitch Drupal to new clients? If you're a developer, does it feel like Drupal is maybe a little bit old-fashioned at times? And honestly, I've asked myself that same question. And perhaps you've asked that question as well. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today. And while I firmly believe that Drupal is great at so many things, there's always something that we can do better. That's the nature of being a project. And all of this actually reminds me a little bit of a special time in history, and specifically the late 1950s in the United States. For those that weren't around back then, like myself, the US was thriving. It was a global leader in the world, a booming economy, and it was kind of evident everywhere. Newer cars, bigger cars, cars with tail fins, more suburban homes, TV dinners, all of these things were starting to happen, so to speak. And many of these new consumer goods, they actually brought, they made life easier for many people. And much of the world looked to America as this shining object of technical achievements. And of course, looking back, we now know that not everything was perfect, right? Things like the civil rights movement wasn't started back then and only became later. But at the time, many Americans, they believed that they were living in this golden age. However, on the morning of October 4th, 1957, that kind of comfortable sense of superiority was shattered, because the American people, they woke up to the news that a human-made object has reached space, except that it wasn't an American achievement. It was the Soviets who successfully launched the Sputnik satellite into space. And then it got worse. In 1961, a Soviet cosmonaut, Yuri Gagarin, he became the first person in space, basically circled the Earth and made it home back safely. And it was an incredible achievement, of course, that made him world famous as the first human in space. And again, it wasn't an American achievement. And so the fact that America had fallen behind in the space race was kind of a total shock to America's sense of global leadership. And a newly elected president, JFK, Kennedy, he saw that the Soviets were pulling ahead. And then he had to inspire the American people to essentially come from behind and to move aggressively on this space initiative.
This generation does not intend to founder in the backwash of the coming age of space. We mean to be a part of it. We mean to lead it. The eyes of the world now look into space, to the moon, and to the planets beyond. And we have vowed that we shall not see it governed by a hostile flag of conquest, but by a banner of freedom and peace. That goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too.
Famous speech, of course, but to me that resonated, that lesson resonated. And I find myself a little bit in the same situation in that, Drupal, as I mentioned, has been part of several golden eras of the web, For example, we helped really pioneer, as I mentioned, low-code, no-code solutions. With things like views and features and rules and even things like Omega-3, if you remember those. However, today, I would say many of our competitors, they offer similar low-code capabilities. And often they do it better than us. And in a way, we helped democratize web publishing, something that we should be very proud of. And yet, many of our competitors today do that better than us as well. And so just like the space race in the 1960s, we find ourselves in kind of a race. And just like in the 1960s, some people feel like we're falling behind. And obviously no one wants our competitors to win, because they aim to colonize a web that's maybe less open, more closed, less creative, maybe more expensive, less accessible, and more proprietary. And I think we truly want the web to be open. And just like the space race, the web is going to move forward, and it's up to us to decide if we want to be part of it, because it's going to happen with or without Drupal. And if we're going to be part of it, I believe we need our own kind of moonshot moment. Now, I watched the JFK speech a number of times in the last couple of months, also in preparation of this keynote. And one line from this speech, a famous line, obviously, from this speech that stuck with me was, we choose to go to the moon, not because that will be easy, but because it will be hard. And that made me think, what is the hard thing for Drupal to do? And I'm going to tell you that in this presentation, and I'm also going to ask you to commit to helping do the hard thing with me. All right, so Kennedy's words, they obviously inspired a generation to reach for the stars. And you fast forward several years, and 3 astronauts, they sit at the top of their Saturn rocket on the launch pad at Cape Kennedy. And they're essentially preparing to make history, right? But as the countdown click ticks down, tragedy strikes, because this isn't Apollo 11. This is a photo of Apollo 1. And essentially, a fire sweeps through the cockpit, through the command module, and all 3 astronauts die in a fire. They never make it to space. And when we think about these moon landings, I think it's easy to forget all the setbacks. NASA's success didn't happen overnight. They learned some very, very hard lessons from Apollo 1. And then, of course, the many other Apollo missions that came after. And in fact, none of the missions on this slide resulted on a person setting foot on the moon. And similarly, at Drupal, we've had our own setbacks. I think many of you are familiar with the server meltdown story. Unfortunately, nobody died. And don't worry, I'm not going to tell it again, because I know a lot of you have heard that story. But the point is that we've had our own setbacks, and I think we've been able to thrive for 23 years because our commitment to learning and improving, that essentially has enabled us to overcome these setbacks. And so as I mentioned, I feel like we're so good at so many things. I don't want to be negative here. We are really good at so many things. We're sitting on this incredible technology. It's like this powerful rocket that we built. And it's kind of like waiting to be ignited. But Houston, we have a problem if only trained astronauts can use our rocket. Right? And right now, I would say our interface is just too hard to use. And I believe Drupal's success hinges on taking all of that power, these rich, powerful features that we've built over the years, and making them easy to use for everyone. You may recognize this slide. A few years ago, we interviewed CMS users, different CMSs, and we asked them what they think of their CMS. And we looked at how long they've been using their CMS. And Drupal was the only CMS whose perception actually improved over time. So you can see people start out kind of negative about Drupal, and then as they become experts, they start to like Drupal more and more and more. And all of the other CMSs, they basically went the other way. Great initial impression, but once they became an expert, they started to love their CMS less and less. And I think this graph perfectly shows that potential that we have. You know, that's the engine that I mentioned, ready to be ignited. If only we can make it easier for people to get started with Drupal and fall in love with Drupal, I think there's a lot we can do. Now, Drupal has already had many missions to help improve the experience, the usability, the out-of-the-box experience. And actually, we've made steady progress. You know, from Claro to the quick start command to Umami, all of these things have helped. They made progress. And we have some initiatives in the work as well, like project browser, automatic updates, that will make Drupal even easier to use. But while we've been working towards making Drupal easier to use, the results have been mixed, right? We've made progress, but we hadn't made a breakthrough yet. So we're still not there, and we have a lot more to do. And I believe that due to the growing competition, we need to accelerate our efforts. We need to make progress faster with a higher sense of urgency. And so I believe that our moonshot is to take all these hard things, if you will, that we've built, these great things, but hard things, and make them easy to use for all, especially for junior devs and people that are new to Drupal, because we want everybody to explore the open web. And then we need to tell the world about it. You know, I know you know Drupal is great because you're here, but what about the millions of other web developers that don't know how great Drupal is? So we need everybody to know the Drupal story and the things that we're capable of. And now, yes, I've been saying this for many, many years. And in fact, some of you might be sick of hearing me say it, but we do need to make Drupal easier to use. And so what is going to be different this time? You know, how will we get that breakthrough? So the core committers, think of them as Drupal's technical leadership team, if you're not familiar. We have gotten together, and the last few months we've been meeting for hours a week to figure it out. So we've been talking about this. I've also been talking with the Drupal Association and other stakeholders along the way. And we asked ourselves, going forward, what do we care about the most? And we collectively ended up with these 4 things: adoption of Drupal, user sentiment, do our end users like using Drupal? Contributor sentiment, do people enjoy contributing to Drupal? Because the more people enjoy contributing to Drupal, the more innovation that we get. And then innovation is a 4th. Now, for some of you that have been around, which from the early exercise is a lot of you, this is hopefully refreshing. Because I would say in the past, we've been focused more on things like security, reliability, these kinds of things. And I'm not saying we're not going to focus on these things anymore, but we are taking a fresh look, and we are shifting what we're going to prioritize. And from there, we defined metrics. And I'm not going to read these to you. I'm going to post these on my website after the Driesnote. But you can see that we defined how we're going to measure success, and we're going to track our progress going forward against these metrics. We also recommitted to ambitious site builders. We talked a lot about what persona we might focus on, and we essentially came back to the ambitious site builders. And that includes both low-code site builders as well as junior developers. And then we specified what we think these people, these persona, might or might not be able to do. For example, we said low-code site builders, they can't really use the command line. They might be able to copy-paste something at best, but we shouldn't expect them to use the command line, right? Just one example. But having these design criteria helps us focus our innovations. Now, some of you might be worried about not focusing on senior devs. My answer to that is that we have focused on senior developers for many years. And now is the time to focus on these other personas. We're not trying to take anything away from senior developers either. Like the functionality that we built isn't going away, right? And so we then brainstormed the key challenges that this persona has. And we started to define solutions as well for these challenges. And we came up with things like improving the out-of-the-box experience, helping them by guiding them to best practices, modules, configuration. We felt it should be a lot easier to create and style pages than what it is today. We have to continue to make Drupal updates easier to use and reliable. And then lastly, we felt like our documentation needs to be much better. Yeah. And ideally, we can even eliminate documentation by making the user experience so intuitive. But where we cannot, we have to have great documentation. And so all of this work, weeks and weeks of meetings really, sort of culminated into one big idea. And I say it's a big idea because in the 23 years of Drupal, we've never done anything like this. And that idea is basically Drupal Starshot. I'm going to explain that to you next. The main idea behind Drupal Starshot is that we're going to have a new version of Drupal, almost like a second version of Drupal, and that will have a great out-of-the-box experience. And the idea isn't to make an incremental improvement to the out-of-the-box experience, but more of a radical improvement in user experience. And we'll do that with a high sense of urgency and an intense focus on questioning how we do that and the processes and the governance that comes with it. To help illustrate that or explain that a little bit better, here's kind of a wireframe of the download page on Drupal.org. And you can see there's two versions of Drupal. Drupal CMS, which is essentially Starshot. Think of Starshot as a code name. It's not a product name. The product name might be Drupal CMS, although we haven't really decided that yet, to be honest. But it will be recommended. You can see it's bigger than Drupal core, which means that we're actually going to recommend it over Drupal core. And we've talked to the Drupal Association, and they're on board with promoting Drupal CMS over Drupal core. If you pay attention, there's also subtle differences, like there's a launch button. Rather than downloading a Drupal CMS, we're going to allow people to launch it right from the browser. All right, so maybe also importantly, Drupal core isn't going away. It's on the page, right? It might be smaller than Drupal CMS, but we don't intend to take away the Drupal that you love. You know, we essentially want to make it easier for more people to love Drupal by making Drupal CMS available. Let me talk a little bit more about that. So we also created a mission statement for Drupal CMS, and I'm going to show that to you in pieces. I'm not going to read it to you in full. It's also going to be on my website on Drupal.org, but I just want to highlight a few snippets, I guess, to kind of help you understand what we're trying to do. The first snippet is that it's a fast-moving, open-source product. And that means we're going to release early, release often, possibly decoupled from the Drupal core release cycle. Maybe we're doing monthly releases, so we can innovate really fast. The other snippet I want to highlight is that we want it to be easy to create a new Drupal site and to extend it with pre-packaged recipes. Right? So that means that Drupal CMS or Drupal Starshot will essentially ship with contributed modules. It's not just core, but it's Drupal core plus contributed modules, including even configuration, default content, these kinds of things. This one is also really important, all using their browser. We need to enable our persona to build these websites, to design and style these websites, all using their browser. That doesn't mean they can't use the command line or can't use IDEs, but at a minimum, they should be able to do a lot, all from their browser. And that's an important design constraint that we are going forward with. Mission statement kind of goes on and on, but maybe to highlight one more thing, We want to help them go from install to launch really fast. That includes making sure we have great documentation, that we have a great trial experience, all of these things. And even actually, I think we should consider responsible AI, which is a good example of what Starshot, Drupal Starshot might be able to do. It would be hard, probably, to put AI capabilities in Drupal core. But with Drupal Starshot, we can embrace a different innovation model, and we can experiment more with things like responsible AI. The reason I think we should consider it is because the whole industry is essentially moving to empowering more people to become builders with things like Copilot. So why shouldn't there be Copilots for building websites? And why would Drupal be left behind on that? So we did a couple other mock-ups. Here's a mock-up of what might be the installer, and it's very basic, so it's literally a wireframe. But a few things that I want to highlight here. As you install Drupal, we will basically launch people in a page more or less like this, which is essentially what it means under the hood is that we're going to integrate Project Browser into the installer, as well as recipes. And the things that you see, the squares in the middle, are recipes that people can select and enable. And again, these recipes, they might pull in contributed modules, right? Layout Builder is also a very important part of Starshot, because we need to enable people to build pages, style pages, all of these things. And Layout Builder actually made it into Drupal core, I think 6 years ago or so, a while ago. And we've learned a lot about Layout Builder in the last 6 years, including ways to improve it. We've got a lot of feedback on things that we can add to Layout Builder to make it more useful. And so because of that, I actually announced at DrupalCon Lille, the next generation page builder initiative. You might remember that slide from my keynote. And essentially the idea was to improve the existing Layout Builder. And since DrupalCon Lille, Lori, the core committer, has essentially done a lot of research, talked to 30 agencies, talked to competitors, all of these things. Looked at all of the different options like paragraphs, Gutenberg, Plasmic IO, etc. Even met with the Gutenberg team in person for several days. And based on all that research, the core committers basically decided to re-accelerate this work and to take the best of Layout Builder, the best of paragraphs, to add an in-browser theming system, and also to differentiate with the strengths of Drupal. Things like structured data, templated content, support for design systems, component-based design, which is why we also want to build this on single directory components, as an example. And we think that that combination is going to be a very powerful feature, very important feature that's also unique in the market. Because of that, the expanded scope, we're also renaming it, or we renamed it to Experience Builder. I won't go into the details here, but you can read more about it on my blog. Lori did a blog post about it as well, and I encourage you to check that out. And so if you think about Starshot, it will include a lot of different things, some of the things that you can see here on the screen. But because we have a great sense of urgency, we also wanted to actually prototype it to get a better sense of the scope and what we might be able to do. And so we started prototyping this just a couple of weeks ago. So let's take a look.
Contributed projects on Drupal.org already provide high-quality solutions for many building tasks. So we gave some space to a couple people to see how far they can get building a prototype of Starshot in roughly 2 weeks. And now you can try this out using a one-line composer command. While this runs in the background, let's see how it was built. You may know about distributions, which are packaged Drupal solutions, but Starshot is based on the new recipes concept. We have not shown yet how these work, but the initiative team has been doing an amazing job improving them. While not ready for core inclusion yet, recipes allow to mix and match various site-building automations without locking you into a distribution. Our prototype uses components from core's future standard recipes, and it adds many feature recipes as you've seen on the mockups. We don't have a UI to select them yet, but events, forums, blogs are all here as components that are mixed in. And recipes are easy to build. For example, the admin theme recipe adds coffee module, the gin theme, the gin toolbar, navigation module, and imports their configuration. Finally, it enables gin as an admin theme. We also added some sample content to Starshot for now, which is served by a recipe as well. Once the command finishes, you end up on the Starshot default page with the sample content imported. But what could be in Starshot? The new experimental navigation module is actually already in Drupal core. It provides a modern way to manage Drupal with in-depth navigation options and shortcuts to create key content. It is possible to reorder and replace the navigation blocks shown or add more elements. You can also tuck it away if you don't have enough space. But you can also use the coffee module to teleport to specific pages very fast. For example, to configure the gin admin theme to use dark mode with starlight accents. The gin admin theme also provides a very streamlined content editing experience. For example, you can put your metadata away if you want to focus on launching your new page. We added Linkit for easy content linking, so I can cross-link to the NASA test launch event that is actually happening later today, since we also have it on the site using our event recipe. We've added various content improvements like moderation, meta tags, pre-configured for sharing, content scheduling, automatic path aliases, and various other features through our recipes. Finally, we also added web forms, so we can ask the really important questions from the audience. This is just a quick proof of concept. Components will be evaluated and refined by the initiative team from a product and usability perspective to provide the best starting point in our new default download on Drupal.org.
Yeah. It was very quiet in the audience, so I wasn't sure what you were thinking. But obviously this is a working prototype. I will say we don't know for sure yet what modules we will ship with Starshot. It's a prototype. But hopefully gives you an idea on our progress and what we're thinking conceptually. And also it's actually the first time, I think, that we showed recipes in action. Something that we've been talking about for a couple of Driesnotes, and excited to finally be able to show it. Now, also a big thank you to all of the people that helped with this, directly or indirectly, to make this happen. A lot of work, yeah. It's actually really nice, like if you think about all of the things that we've been building, automatic updates, project browser, recipes, it's all actually coming together in a very powerful way that I think can be really transformative to Drupal. So now, getting to the moon actually took 8 years. But we don't have 8 years as Drupal. So core committer team, again, driven by this sense of urgency, we feel like we need to get something in market, something launched in 8 months, basically by the end of this year-ish. It doesn't have to be the final version. It's going to be an initial version available on the download page on Drupal.org. And then if something doesn't get in, that's okay, but we'll quickly iterate. You know, we'll release and release again and again, and add new features. We have a lot to figure out, obviously, despite having a working prototype. And in 10 minutes or so, I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit to each other and see how you might be able to help bring Starshot to life. But I'll come back to that in 10 minutes. But feel free to start thinking about how you might be able to contribute. But one of our ideas for how to make it happen, because it's a lot of work, is to actually leverage the updated certified partner program that the Drupal Association runs. So some of you might not be familiar with the certified partner program, but we recently introduced a change where partners of the Drupal Association, it's essentially no longer sufficient to give money, but we're also asking partners to give non-financial contributions, like code or documentation, design, marketing, these kinds of things. And so one idea is to break Drupal Starshot into smaller pieces, and then to ask or invite the certified partners or wannabe certified partners to take on a piece of that. So we're going to be doing a bunch of project management and program management to do that. Think of it as like building the International Space Station, where different countries can actually, bring pieces to the space station. Now, I strongly believe that our success is going to depends on broadening the usability of Drupal. And again, we're not removing features from Drupal, and we're not changing the target audience. We just want more people to be able to use the powerful features that we have. And the way to do that is not to make all these people developers. The way to do that is to bring our tools to non-developers. And I think we have to do that with a sense of urgency, because what changed is that the world around us accelerated. Our competitors are going faster, and not doing anything is actually going backwards at this point, which is why this is becoming so relevant. And I've also decided to make this my personal top priority. I'm basically winding down other important things that I'm doing so I can focus most of my time on this. I've already been meeting weekly with the core committers and other people. I'll continue to drive this initiative for the time being. I'd like to build a strong team of people around me, and eventually we should have something in place that can really take this forward. And so really going to commit my own personal time, and I would like to ask you to do the same. I'll be holding office hours, if you will, at DrupalCon later today and tomorrow. Laurie will be there as well. He's the initiative lead of the Experience Builder. Gabor will be there as well. We'll put together the demo video. Other people might be there too. So it's a great place to come and talk to us today or tomorrow in room 204, which I think is that room, right next to this room. Now I can already hear some agency owners say like, well, why do I care about ambitious site builders? I want an enterprise roadmap for Drupal. And well, let me tell you, because in 2010, Acquia actually launched a product called Drupal Gardens, which was essentially a hosted no-code version of Drupal. And we had a lot of people sign up, but one of the users that signed up was a little-known company known as NBC. And that was their first entry point into Drupal. Somebody signed up to Drupal Gardens and learned about Drupal because it was so easy to sign up and to try it. They didn't need to be a developer. And that led to dozens of very large websites at NBC switching to Drupal. I'm sure some of you have worked on some of these sites. And eventually led to like the Olympics website running on Drupal. And according to them, it's the largest digital event on the web. And so when I think about that, I think about all of the impact that something like this could have, right? Making Drupal easier to use out of the box is good for business. And I would say enterprise software increasingly more is adopted this way. They even have a word for it, the consumerization of enterprise software. And so my point really is that focusing on the ambitious site builders and making Drupal easier to use out of the box is good for everyone, and I think is good for our ecosystem, all of the Drupal agencies in the room. Now, this mission won't be easy, and I think it's going to take all of us. There's a lot of things to do. Here's just a few, between air quotes, ideas. From working on the installer, to finishing recipes, to finishing project browser, to the in-browser theming system, to writing documentation, to updating Drupal.org, specifically the download page, and much more. And I'm not showing this to overwhelm you. I'm just showing this to inspire you, right? And where you might get involved, because we need many different skills. And so as you entered the room, on your seat, there was a sticker. You might be sitting on it. That's okay. But on the sticker, there is a space where you can write how you might be able to help. So you could write on help with marketing, or help with testing, or help with documentation. And the idea is that you put that sticker somewhere visible, you know, on your backpack, on your laptop, on your jacket. I don't really care. Somewhere visible so that everybody can see sort of the energy and the ideas, and hopefully it will start some great conversations, and hopefully it will lead to people collaborating. And if it's a little hard to write on the sticker, we have some markers at the back of the room that you can get later. But yeah, please do. And there will also be a digital way to pledge. So if you go to drupal.org/starshot, you can essentially do two things. One, sign up for updates. We'll keep you informed. But also, if you want to contribute, you can basically pledge to contribute. And we can then, after DrupalCon, most likely organize people and try to get things humming. All right? Now, it's drupal.org/starshot, if you didn't get the QR code. Now, back to the space race for a moment, because I think we can also draw lessons from the space race on how marketing can be game-changing. I'm not sure if you noticed, but in the beginning, NASA was really composed of military personnel, and they were very secretive about what was going on. And at some point, NASA essentially recognized that they needed a different approach, a more impactful approach, and they actually helped pioneer content marketing, believe it or not. And what that means is that they created a lot of engaging content, and content for everyone, not just for scientists, but content that appealed to journalists, content that appealed to basically the world, right? And at the time, this was revolutionary, especially for a government entity, and it really significantly boosted the public interest in the space program. And it was one of the reasons why the US was able to overtake their competitors. So let's take a look at that.
The United States launches its two-man Project Gemini program at Cape Kennedy. And once again, the event is reported fully, openly, from pre-launch to recovery.
Hello there, from the men in the moon.
This is Apollo, the first of a family of spacecraft designed to transport Americans to the moon.
Here at the Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama, we are static testing the fourth of the booster stages of the Saturn 1B.
Here the astronaut is opening a packet of bite-sized items. These may be either freeze-dried or compressed foods.
And so this gives you an idea, right? Where what you see actually here is the Apollo 11 press kit, which was 300 pages, massive document that they circulated to all the media outlets, to everyone. And everybody could pick and choose what they wanted to talk about. And essentially, I would say NASA kind of invented this open marketing approach, for lack of a better word, that enabled everybody to discuss the Apollo missions in a way that resonated with them. And even today, you probably know, NASA shares a lot of information with the public. And there remains a lot of public interest in space missions. And it all stemmed from, back then. Some of you might actually look at some of the amazing photos that you find on nasa.gov of planets and stars and all kinds of things. And it all came out of sort of the 90s, 60s when they made this shift. And here's a couple of photos actually of space cereal, space toys, watches, drinks, just to give you an idea of how the space race took over sort of the mindset of everyone, and how this open marketing approach really captured the imagination of the people. And so wouldn't we want the same for Drupal? I say we do. And I say we do because, marketing is just as important as the technical innovation. And at DrupalCon Lille, I announced that we were developing a marketing plan. You might remember that. And today I'm excited to update you on some of the significant progress that we have made. The first thing I want to talk about is that we want people to see Drupal as fresh. We want Drupal to feel attractive to them. And we want people that looked at Drupal maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago to say, oh, something changed here. I need to take a fresh look at Drupal. You know what I mean? And we want to appeal to both the veteran Drupal users, people that have been using Drupal for a long time, as well as people that are newcomers to Drupal. And so we decided to essentially update the Drupal brand. We did a brand audit, and out of that came an update to our design system to ensure that we have a more consistent visual language and a more modern expression of our brand. And our goal was to make it more fun, more vibrant, more accessible to everyone. And so we've compiled all of this in a video, so let's take a look. There you go. Yeah. I hope you love it as much as I do. As a Drupal veteran, I guess, I love it. But I also feel strongly that people much younger than me will love it as well. All of these brand elements that you can see on the screen or that you saw in the video, they are available today. You can actually download them, use them, and we certainly encourage you to start using this today. It's sort of a soft launch, if you will, of our brand. We also have a new URL, drupal.org/marketing, where you can find a link to the brand guidelines. But we didn't stop at the brands. We also worked on messaging, and the messaging has different messaging and positioning for different personas because we're trying to reach new audiences. It has pitch decks and much more. And more importantly, you can also go to that page to get involved because we do need more involvement. If you think about what NASA did, we need to think big like that as well as it relates to marketing. And that means that we're going to ask for a bigger commitment from the agency leaders, from designers, from marketers to really help us promote Drupal. We have some very special limited edition hats for the new brands. And I'm going to ask Sean, who actually did all of the brand work, so maybe give it up for Sean to come on stage. There you go. Look at these. You saw these. These are the first ever made of the new brand, and we're going to throw a couple in the audience, if you're ready. And if you don't get one, at the end of this presentation, you'll be able to get more hats. Oh, there you go. We'll have one for you, Suzanne. Thank you, Sean. Fantastic work. As I said at the end of the presentation, I'm going to ask you to pledge on the microphones a way that you want to get involved and contribute. And the first 10 people or so, I'll give you a hat as well. All right? So start thinking about that. And hopefully, my kids will also finally think I'm cool when I'm wearing Drupal swag, although I don't think that's ever going to happen. But obviously today is kind of a soft launch. We have a lot of work to do. One of the things that we have to do is we have to update Drupal.org, and we have like a very early mock-up of what that might look like to help you visualize that. And again, it's not just the visuals that we're updating, it's also the messaging and the personas that we're trying to reach as well. And so just a preview of what's to come. And what we're going to do is update the website Drupal.org to Drupal 10 or Drupal 11 maybe. And as we do that, bring the new brand to life. So that's pretty exciting and something to look forward to. Now, we also had a presence at Web Summit. In Lille, I mentioned that we were going to be at Web Summit. We actually went to Web Summit. And we took the occasion to actually preview or test this new brand. And if you don't know Web Summit, it's the largest web developer conference in the world. It's about 70,000 people in Lisbon, Europe. And we had a booth, we had a keynote. Barry presented in the keynote. And it was really a great success, and the brand really resonated with people. But if you don't believe me, let's look at a quick video from Barry.
We were in a booth in one of the big halls. So thinking about this, 70,000 people, a lot of traffic, people running around. So our booth was presenting the new look of Drupal. So it was really fresh, and a lot of people came by, and first of all, like, wow, Drupal is really cool, like, what is this? So there were young people excited about learning more about Drupal. But then there were actually a lot of people that knew Drupal back in the days. And they came and were like, wow, you're still like alive, and wow, what is happening here? And this is very cool. We did a keynote, which was extremely exciting because we had the opportunity to talk about Drupal in front of thousands of people. And we focused on everything related to contribution and how we actually get a lot of people excited about contributing to something together. So one thing is that we are a great system to use, but the community part is something that we could speak about, and that is something that the people relate to. That is something that the developers, the young people, they are actually like, okay, I'm going to be part of something larger than just creating a piece of software, but I'm going to be part of open web, the contribution world, like being together with something larger and doing that for maybe the greater cause.
So it was great to see how a kind of fresher, more modern brand got people excited about Drupal, but also the open web. So now the next thing to do is we need to repeat it. We did Web Summit, which is one conference, thousands of people, but now that we have a formula, if you will, our booth, our presentations, talking points, videos that we played in the booth, now we need to maintain the momentum, and we need to attend more conferences like that. And the way we did it, by the way, is 4 different companies, along with the Drupal Association, they got together to represent Drupal, and all of these companies, they represented Drupal versus their own company, right? So that was the model that we used. And we already submitted an application to one of the largest events in the world for content marketers, which hopefully we can get in, but would be a great example of trying to reach new audiences. But this is also where you come in, because I believe that now we have the formula, you can also help scale it. You can help scale it by identifying events in your region, in your industry, and then working with others to make it happen. And we'll have like a toolkit that you can use to essentially create a booth and be present at these events. So on the marketing side, we've got a new brand, we've got new messaging, we're focused on new target audiences while caring about the existing target audience, and we're working on a new website. And so I want to give a special thank you to all of the people that have been working on this, the marketing committee, the Drupal Association, Promote Drupal Initiative, and Sean. So give it up to all of them. Yeah. It's really tremendous progress since DrupalCon Lille, to be honest, to be able to do all of this. And we're only just getting started, so that's very exciting. If you want to get involved, there's going to be a special session on Wednesday, and all of the people that I just thanked will be there. We'll give an update, go into more details about what we've done, more details about the brand, and by all means, please join them there to get involved. All right, so basically, we have this like 3-stage rocket, you know. One, we're going to commit to making Drupal easier to use out of the box, and we're going to do that with a new version of Drupal, Drupal Starshot, Drupal CMS, whatever we're going to call it. We're going to collaborate to make this happen, hopefully with the people in this room and the people outside of this room as well. And then we're going to promote that to the world. And the promotion shouldn't wait for the first release of Drupal Starshot, but we have to change how we present Drupal, make it more modern, more fresh and more compelling. And to do all of this, as I mentioned, we're going to need your help. And so for the last part of the keynote, I'm going to ask you to do 3 things. Talk to each other, make a pledge, and then come and share it. I know this might be a little strange, but I really hope it's going to lead to some very interesting outcomes. So I'm going to ask you to essentially talk for 3 or 4 minutes to your neighbors. If you don't know your neighbor, introduce yourself maybe first. That will make it less awkward. And then talk about where you think you might be able to contribute. You can write it on your sticker. You can put the sticker somewhere. And then, as I mentioned, I'm going to ask those that are brave enough to come to the mic to basically say, you know, I'm such and such, and I'm going to help with documentation, or I'm going to help with the trial experience, or I'm going to help with design, whatever it is. I'd love to see 10 people or so come up to the mic, and the first 10 people I'll give this limited edition hat. I'm going to put this slide back on the screen. You saw this slide before, all the things that I think we need to do, and much more than that. And I'm not putting it here to overwhelm you again, but just as an inspiration. And then after your discussion, I would love to hear your commitment. So for now, I'm going to stop talking so that you can talk to each other. And yeah, let's do it. Time's up. I love the noise of you guys brainstorming. What a great noise throughout the room, you know? Love the brainstorming. All right, so thank you for talking to your neighbors. Hopefully you were talking about Drupal Starshot. Are we ready? Is there any people brave enough to come to the mic? All right, there's 3 mics in the room. You can come to the mic. And I'm going to ask you to be brief, so try to keep it to 1 or 2 sentences if you can, all right? But yeah, we'll take somebody there, and then we'll circle around. So let's start. I can't see much, but let's go with the first person.
Hi there. I'm Odin. I decided that a lot of times people will hear that I'm a web developer and they'll be like, hey, can you make me a website? So I'll commit to testing out, spinning up new websites and seeing how quick it works and how easy it is.
Awesome. Thank you. Woo. Yeah. In the middle.
I'm Franz. I do a lot of work with some of the low-code editors out there, and so I'll test our low-coding solution for designing layouts.
Love it. Thank you. Let's go to the right. My right. Your left.
Hi, I'm Renee Vasquez, and I'm a marketer and content management in multilingual websites, and so I am definitely going to be present at the meeting because I'm interested in getting involved in content development or anything in that nature.
So good. We were just talking about the need for more content, so thank you very much. Let's do another one there, yeah.
Hey, yeah, I'm Brian Perry. I'm a developer, and I would like to try to help improve the content preview experience, and there actually already is an issue in the prototype repo.
Very good, yeah. I see some people cheering here in the front, so thank you. Let's go back to the middle.
Hi, my name is Anup John. I run the Drop Times. I would love to contribute more in working closely with the community and taking the good news around Drupal to the larger audience out there.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Hey, I'm Mac Hardy from Affinity Bridge. We're from Vancouver. We're committed to working on recipes and building out functionality in the project browser.
All right, awesome. That's very good. Key piece of work that needs to be done. Let's do one more round, or 3 more people.
Hi, I'm Dominic from DropSolid, and actually we already have people working on a rocket ship distribution. It's on Drupal.org, but we will commit those people to Starshot.
Awesome, thank you. Perfect, thank you. Middle.
Hey, I'm Jürgen Haas from Lake Drops, Germany, and I've spent the last 3 years developing the ECA module to make all the features available in Drupal to non-coders in the UI. And I want to pledge the rest of my life to continue maintaining that.
Wow.
And if it's useful, bring it to Starship or Drupal Starshot, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, thank you. I think the only thing that goes above that is maybe pledging your firstborn.
I don't have one.
The rest of your life, that's amazing. Thank you. And one more.
Yeah, Todd Smith. My firstborn has already moved on, so. But I've always considered myself as an ambitious site builder, and I'd like to, help people do more of that and see Drupal get back to those roots.
Yeah, hallelujah. Thank you. All right. I know there's a lot of people still at the mic, but I need to continue. I'm sorry, but please come to the session this afternoon at 4 or tomorrow, and we'll continue talking. I'll make sure that we bring some more hats, all right? So come to that session. All right, that was really amazing. So thank you for the many great pledges. Really exciting to see the excitement. And it's the ideas like this that you all shared that I think is going to help us make a big jump forward. Because there are big changes that we need to make.
Okay, I'm going to leave that 1 foot up there and both hands down about the 4th rung up. There you go. Okay, now I think I'll do the same. 1 or 2 inches. I'm going to step off the limb now. It's 1 small step for man, 1 giant leap for mankind.
Of course, very famous video, but in 1969, Apollo 11 made it to the moon, and the first person ever to set foot on the moon was an American citizen, of course. But what's also great about it is all of the great innovation that came out of the space race. And even today, we see the benefits of that. I think you all know examples, but it was just a boost for the economy, new industries being born. And I would say it essentially paid off for the US to make a big investment in the space race. And so think about all of the ripple effects and the benefits that Drupal Starshot could have for us. But I would also like you to consider what could happen if we don't do this, if we don't win this race, right? What would the future look like if we don't? And I would say it's almost certainly going to be less open and more expensive and less creative and less accessible and more bloated. And I really feel like we have such a big impact on the world. 1 in 40 websites using Drupal. We just can't afford to let that happen. Our impact on the web is just too big. As I said, we've been architects, defenders, and promoters of the open web for all these years. And I joked about trying to be a cool dad, and Drupal swag isn't gonna make a difference, of course. But I do really hope for my kids, not to be a cool dad, but I hope to help contribute to a web that is open. Because what I really want for them is to grow up with a web, which I think and hope will be around for hundreds of years. And when they use that web, I want there to be a web that prioritizes their safety, their privacy, their inclusion. I want that web to be a web that offers them unlimited freedom and creativity, and a web that they can use regardless of their skills or training. And that's why I'm so passionate about making this happen. And obviously, Kennedy inspired many Americans to enter the space race, and he told them, we choose to do this not because it's easy, but because it's hard. And today I say to you, we choose to do this because making Drupal easy is hard, right? And I think getting Drupal Starshot right might be one of the most difficult things that we've ever done as a community, but I really do believe that it will be worth it. So with that, I want to say thank you, and I look forward to collaborating with all of you. Thank you. Using my phone.